in the blog sphere, I felt this is not a news outlet I should be trusting. So, but I followed. I didn't sleep a wink after that. I've been awake till this moment because of that pretty sad, really, really sad and shocking news. The last thing any parent wants to hear, is that type of news. We recall it happened with the band a couple of years ago.
I think that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, that was more than 2 years ago. That was more. I think that was in 2018, about 2018 that happened.
Wow.
And so it just got me thinking: are there no laws, when it comes to child endangerment in Nigeria? Are people not supposed to be, probably punished for something like this?
Well, I think parents should be more careful.
Yeah, we understand that.
You have a swimming pool,
and you have a toddler.
Barricades and stuff like that. I think so.
Pretty sad.
Our thoughts are with the entire family.
Yeah.
And, we ask, God will give them the grace.
The grace to be able to bear this really, really sad loss. All right, we will be taking a look at the headlines in the newspapers this morning, finding out what they're reporting today, the first day in November 2022. Let's first of all start off with the This Day newspaper reporting NSA saying Nigeria not under any heightened sense of insecurity in the wake of the controversy surrounding a recent travel advisory issued by the United States government and some other countries asking the citizens to stay clear of Abuja. The Nigerian government has again allayed fears over the safety of people living in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. The FCT Executive Committee EXCO also reassured Abuja residents of their safety, saying adequate security arrangements have been made to sustain the state of law and order in the nation's capital. However, speaking with newsmen yesterday in Abuja at the end of an emergency meeting of the National Security Council, NSC, presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House, the National Security Advisor, NSA, Major General Babagana Mongono, retired, punctured the security alerts, which had generated fear about Nigeria, especially Abuja, saying citizens are in no danger. I think I would rather this happens, this back and forth of allaying our fears. It just tells me, okay, some people are actually on the toes. As much as you want to look at the security alert and tell Nigerians, especially Abuja residents, not to be bothered about it, at least it's making them speak out. So we are getting information about whatever, they're saying that they've put security measures in place to make us safe. Yesterday we heard there's a stop and search at the NAS. So at least, even if they want to not agree that the heightened sense of security is not as serious as it is, but at least we're hearing from them. Ejiro.
Well, I think actions speak louder than words, so they should give us more action than telling us. Yes, I know they are trying to do some damage control, which is okay, all right, in order to really instill confidence in Nigeria, should have confidence in them and all that. So, but then we need to see more. Yes, I was speaking with a Fine Face, and he told me about seeing some armor tank being stationed.
Yes.
So I want to see more of that, because my friend Fine Face, haven't seen that. I think he is more relaxed. I don't know if he's tense.
Are you more relaxed? Because
Fine Face, are you relaxed or you're tense?
No, I'm not relaxed at all.
Okay, it kind of got you a bit tense seeing the armor tanks.
Done,
yeah,
right?
at least. But
that gives you that makes you think, okay.
Yeah, it just makes me feel like
when you see armor tanks, you think war.
It makes me feel like, so this is true. You understand? So there's something actually happening. So I wouldn't say I'm relaxed, but Ejiro, my problem is, did we have to wait this long? 7 years.
Seven good years. 7 years.
Yes, Anita.
Fine Face, what we do with you at this 7 years?
No, but it's for real.
Yeah, it's for real.
Look at the streets of Abuja this morning. It looks deserted. Like driving down here.
I think there's a bit of. I think people are beginning to.
No, it's just that few schools decided to reopen this.
No, but I think they were on mid-term break, because I asked a couple of teachers, and they said some schools were on mid-term.
Are you sure it was mid-term?
That's exactly. Well, maybe the mid-term, So, it's looking like the city is probably coming back to life. Maybe I wouldn't know.
I do not think so, because on my way here this morning,
on your way from where you live,
it was like it looked deserted. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Interesting.
Even going back home yesterday at around 5 p.m. Normally it takes me like 30 minutes to get home, but it took me like 15 minutes yesterday.
I have asked this question, like, how long are we going to be like inside? How long will this keep happening?
For now, there's no need saying we're outside anymore. You need to be inside. You can't be.
For how long is this going to continue? As much, I guess, it's a case of, men in Nigeria, you have to provide your own security, yes. And just look up to God.
You have to provide and then depend on God to defend you.
Yeah. Last, eventually. All right, still taking a look at the headlines in the newspapers this morning. We're moving over to the Punch newspaper, reporting 2023 elections. Don't be partisan. Buhari cancels police. The president, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired on Monday in Owerri, charged the Nigeria police force to perfect operational plans that will guarantee a credible outcome in the 2023 general elections while remaining a political firm and loyal to democratic values. The president declared open the 3-day conference and retreat for senior police officers and directed the police to review the current and evolving internal security threats as they may impact peaceful and successful elections. In a statement released by his senior special advisor on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, Buhari was quoted to have said, as I have often observed, elections are local, and it is only when the votes truly count that the faith of the citizens in a democratic process can be demonstrated and government legitimacy assured. Would we say this headline by the Punch newspaper saying the president counseling the police, asking them not to be partisan, did we have something like this in 2019?
Well, Anita, I just want to believe they will take the advice of the president, because I don't know if it was this IG of police or the previous one that the president gave him an order to be in Maiduguri, and he didn't go.
He didn't show up.
He didn't show up.
I think it's this IG.
Okay, so
wow.
So now, saying this, I mean, I don't understand how the president intends to really checkmate if they are really partisan or not, because we've seen that during elections, some of these security personnel they use them to kind of to an extent rig or intimidate the opponent. So I don't know how they intend to checkmate all these happenings.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I feel it's just like the normal Nigerian statements. They'll just make statements and then nothing will be done. We all know how elections play out in Nigeria. Just like Ejiro said, sometimes you see the police being used, to intimidate opposition, to even intimidate voters as well. So I think we need to get to a level where the police gets to understand that, you don't have any, your duty, during the election is just to ensure that you safeguard,
yes, that
lives
we have
and all
adequate
that.
security.
Yeah, so I think there need to be a kind of sensitization in the police itself. Even if you're being attached to a politician, on the day of election, you have absolutely no business there. You should stay away. Just ensure that, okay, even if your principal is going to vote, you stay away and allow him vote, and then you leave. But we see how things play out in Nigeria. So the police, they need to understand their job. I think someone needs to. They need to sensitize them, let them understand exactly the role you are to play during elections. But then, Anita, my problem is, you see elections in a state and you see that they've deployed like 50,000 policemen. What exactly are they going to do?
Intimidation.
Yes.
Because the people who feel intimidated by the ruling class, the ruling party in that state.
Yes.
Imagine the opposition hearing that they are going to be having like 50,000 policemen.
And this is the same people that when there's an issue of maybe insecurity in a state, they don't deploy anybody.
And to make matters worse, do you know that when they go to that state, the first point of call is the governor's house?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, because definitely he's the governor. You have to go pay homage to him and
let him know you're in town.
We all know how these things work.
Yeah.
When they go pay homage, the government will return the privilege.
So I think they need to, the police, they need to clearly understand their job. So it's not just about saying it; it's about executing it.
Yeah, but you want to, when you say this, you want to also put into consideration some of information we get on social media in say videos and people's narrative talking about police harassment in some parts of the country. I know the times we get this information is majorly Lagos. Most of this actually happen in Lagos. So you want to also think about that part. And when the president is counseling the police and asking them not to be partisan, of course you're saying don't lean towards any politician. Do not but you find that sometimes when these leanings happen, you want to, like Ojiro used the word cash out for politicians. You want to think monetary gains. That's the reason why. You want to look at the police force. You want to look at the, the police harassments we see. You have to go back to the root cause of what is causing all of this.
Yeah.
And so you wonder how this sensitization will actually, how it's going to work.
Well, I think it will be a process because there's a whole lot of wrath in the system already, but it will be a long process. But I think Ejiro said something yesterday, it's better to just start from somewhere. Just start
when you already put you put certain types of people as our security agents, and then you find some of them not educated. How do you want to even educate them on this? That's just
training and retraining.
Yeah,
they're already in the system.
Yeah.
So I just think
just
INEC should really step up to the game. INEC have a lot of role to play in this because they understand the rules and regulation guiding the process.
I think INEC should even maybe schedule like a meeting with the police and
yes.
brief them properly.
That doesn't happen.
If it's happened,
even if it happens, even if it happens, that's why I used, the information we get on social media, Nigerians complaining about extortions and harassment from the police. Don't we get situations whereby they are told? Do you understand? I'm just saying, okay, so INEC comes out to say anything. What does that change? From the beginning, when you've already taken a person who probably doesn't, you find some of them, the basic English language cannot communicate in it. And, when it even comes to the rights of citizens, recently we heard of a couple of females who were arrested in Lagos and put in a cell because they had, some things in their possession that had, and they said, according to the narrative, they allegedly said that the police told them that it is a crime for them to be in possession of such. And, reading that, you just want to ask yourself, so when it comes to
get in there?
You see, all of these things, it's a mindset thing. How do you, so when it comes to the election, if you say, you're just saying.
The truth is, money will play a very important role in this election.
When it even comes to, when you hear a policeman's salary, when you hear about the fact that they provide their uniforms themselves, and then you're asking them not to be partisan when somebody
live?
Yeah, you see their living conditions.
Oh my God.
So who are you telling these things?
Get killed in the process.
In the process, some of them have to fight for the pension situation. It is just a situation whereby you have totally tortured the mind.
Yeah.
Now this person is just looking for a way, one way or the other, and then you find them oppressing people who they're supposed to protect, and then you're now asking that you say INEC should talk to them or they should be trained.
Anita, I think it's born out of frustration because how do I protect you, and then for me I'm not even protected? I'm not living well. My kids are not feeding well.
Sometimes I just feel like it's a deliberate thing. It's like you put certain types of people in these positions just so you can control them.
Yeah,
it just feels like a deliberate thing.
Wow. So for me, I would say it's not just about Mr. President telling them to to be independent and all that. I think they need to check
the foundation is
check the police force.
But there was a time their salaries were increased.
And what percentage?
But then the issue now is, do they really get that actual salary?
Have you heard of policemen being the ones providing their uniforms themselves?
Yeah, I heard that story, and it's quite. I'm in the police force, and then I now have to buy my own uniform. I think
that on its own it could lead to corruption.
Of course,
yes, it can make individuals who have no business in the police force go get this uniform themselves.
Of course.
I know Anita wouldn't want to hear this, but I think it's time we get serious in Nigeria because Anita, things like this it clearly shows that we are not. How can a policeman be the one to buy his uniform? It's not nice. How much is the uniform? You should be able to give him 6 or 10 pairs of uniform.
Okay.
Yes, as a nation.
Their living condition on one hand.
Saying this time we get serious, and Anita is laughing, just like the way she laughed about my mechanism.
Anita, do you know that when you get to the NYC camp, they give you the NYC.
Yeah, they give that the kit.
The kit. So why can't you give the police?
Monies are provided for that.
So
there are funds, being disbursed for that. Now you're not asking them. It's the election period where you're coming out with statements like this. If you find, I don't want to go deep into it, but sometimes what we do most times is
sometimes we need to get serious in this nation.
Okay, let's go over to the Sun newspaper reporting. Obi disowns manifesto in circulation, says it is not approved. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has asked the public to disregard the manifesto of his party currently in circulation. Obi, who issued the clarification via his official Twitter handle yesterday, clarified that the manifesto currently in circulation was a draft version that got into the public domain. The Labour Party standard bearer and former governor of Anambra State said the party's manifesto was still under review. He said he would personally release the Labour Party's manifesto to the public when it is ready. Why did we have this leak even happen for the manifesto? And then, fine face, we'll start with you. Don't
Well, I saw that story yesterday.
Yeah.
And then some Nigerians were actually happy because there were certain things that were in that actual document. Things like, beginning to pay Nigerians early, in terms of the hours you're putting in and all that. So some Nigerians were super excited. I'm telling you, some Nigerians were super excited, but Obi later came out to say, look, no, I don't know how this got out, here.
But not denying that that's what it is in the manifesto, though.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes, that, So, but some Nigerians were excited because it was actually trending on Twitter and people were saying, wow, if we begin to earn this way, I think Nigeria will make progress and all that. So, well, for me, I just feel, Anita, Nigerians are patiently waiting. It looks more like some Nigerians are kind of excited about the Labour Party because it seemed to be like the option, the new option from the old ways, like the old ways. I'm talking about PDP, APC and all that. So we just want to see how it's going to play out. Remember, last Saturday, they kicked off their campaign in Nasarawa State. Though I heard certain informations like the state government did not approve. They allowed them use the stadium and all that. But then they were still able to, come through and they were able to kick off their campaign. So I think Nigerians are patiently waiting to see what the Labour Party has to offer, because it feels like, it feels like a new face for Nigerians. So some of them are actually kind of excited, but then we just, we'll just keep our fingers crossed and see how things will play out.
Well, I don't know why they are really disowning the manifesto because to me it's a brilliant document.
It's not like he's disowning it. That's not what he's saying. He just said disregard it for now because it's just a draft. What's in circulation was a draft version.
Okay.
And so it's just asking that, when it's ready, when it's still under review. That's it. It's still under review.
One of the things in that manifesto that really got me is the constitutional review. And I know they're trying to review the constitution so that they can be able to fight corruption effectively.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very good one if they are able to.
I have said the 1999 constitution is a huge problem that Nigeria has.
It's a problem because they say we the people of Nigeria, and then Nigerians are asking when did we okay, because good luck came up when they had the confab in 2014. Yeah. Now you can now say we the people of Nigeria. If at all it made way to became the constitution and all that, you can say we the people because people actually came together and all that. So, but then we look forward to seeing how they intend to do some of the things they want to do in this.
Yeah.
Just like the human capital development and all that. I think that is one place Nigeria really stands out. When it comes to human capital, we need to invest more on people. All right, if you're able to get people who are of top notch, you achieve results easily.
That's what we actually need, though. This is Bright Republic on Bright 98.7, and we have been taking a look at the headlines in the newspapers this morning. Let's go over to Still in the Sun, reporting headsmen least conditions for peace in communities. The leadership of Mieti Alakaltahore Fulani Socio-Cultural Association has listed conditions and measures that government and communities must take to restore lasting peace, unity and tolerance among farmers and herders in various troubled communities across the country. The conditions were contained in a communique released at the end of the expanded National Executive Council NEC meeting in Abuja yesterday. under the leadership of the national president of the association, Alhaji Bello Bodejo. National secretary of the association, Saleh Al Hassan, who presented the communique to journalists at a press conference in Abuja, said the NEC at the meeting harvested and considered reports submitted from different states on issues that concerns the Fulani pastoralists and arrived at some suggestions that would perhaps herald lasting peace and unity among several communities in Nigeria. Okay, let's talk about this. Talking about headsmen listing conditions for peace in communities. Wow, I wonder what exactly.
Like, how did we get to this? Like, headsmen listing conditions for peace in communities.
Well, if the conditions are quite reasonable and if it will bring a lasting peace, I think government we should really sit down and listen to them and really review what they are asking for. Mm-hmm. All right, it's nothing. I don't think it's a crime when you call out if you make reasonable condition. All right, when I say reasonable,
I don't understand it.
It could be that there are some challenges they have that we don't know about.
Yes, I understand what Ejiro is saying, because the situation has been, we hear about, herders, and we hear about farmers, clashes. And so it's, if they say, they want to sit down and list some of the things that talk about the causes and how they can live peacefully, since they are the ones involved, I think maybe that's what you're saying.
Yeah, we should listen to them if their conditions are reasonable. All right.
Fine Face. You wanted to say something that
I'm just wondering. It's like coming out to say maybe taxi drivers in Abuja listing conditions for peace in Abuja. I mean, I don't understand.
Of course, taxi drivers could come out.
Yes,
it could be that the tax force are humiliating them.
That type of thing.
So it shouldn't be conditions for peace.
Okay, that should have.
It shouldn't be for because. So,
yes, I understand.
Anita, what's the absence of peace? It's violence. So I mean, what should it be for? That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, because it's saying that the leadership of the Miyetti Allah is saying they're the ones listing the conditions, saying they have listed conditions and measures that government and communities must take to restore lasting peace, unity and amongst. So I think let them hear what these things are, what these conditions are. Like they said, it's for lasting peace and tolerance amongst, farmers and herders. And so
Anita.
It's.
So one day we may actually hear the Agberos
fine face. We don't even know what the conditions are yet.
Here's the thing: they're the ones involved. It's just like when we talk about insecurity, talking about how we talk about community policing. They're the ones who know people will know who the troublemakers are. So let's look at it as this case that they are the ones who are involved. When it comes to the issues we've heard, in the news about the clashes, the trouble happening, so they are the ones who understand it. So they're like probably presenting a paper saying, look, this is what we think, you should do, so that we have looked. Remember, this is coming from the leadership of the Miyetti Allah.
Okay. They
have looked at it and thought, look, this is how we feel that we can all live peacefully, and this is the lasting solution we feel can be taken for this.
There was peace before.
So what led to
you understand? So why?
Well, I was just going through something, and one of the conditions they gave is the alleged continuous profiling of Fulani pastoralists, particularly by the Benue State government. They are saying that they are being prosecuted because they felt they are terrorists and all that. According to the Benue State governor, that's what they are saying. That's one of the conditions, that he should do away with that and the open grazing law and all that. So I think we really need to go check what their conditions are and then interrogate.
I think
these
Fine Face is saying
how
did the ones listing conditions?
So it means that, Anita, if the conditions are not met, then
the opposite of peace. So you say, but then I think if you want to really resolve an issue,
of course,
we should dialogue should be the way. Like I said on this platform before, it is better to judge than war. So we should sit down and Fine Face every time you listen.
This is your quote.
No, it's better to talk it over than go to war. So let them sit down.
Better to judge than to war.
Yeah.
Sounds good though. Thank you.
All right, 2 minutes before we hit 8:30, and today on Bright Republic, we will be having a guest, the person of the AAC's presidential candidate, Omoyele Sowore. We'll be having him in the studio today on Bright Republic, but that will be in a bit. But still in the newspapers this morning, The Guardian reporting Akintoye accuses Tinubu of planning to destroy Yoruba self-determination group. The leader of the Yoruba Nation self-determination struggle, Professor Banji Akintoye, yesterday said he did not authorize any Congress of Ilana Omo Odua worldwide, being rumored to take place today, November 1st, 2022 in Ibadan, Oyo State. In a statement yesterday, Akintoye distanced himself from a statement issued by one Fumi Shoyemi, the outgoing chairman of Ilana Interim Management Committee of the organization, which says a World Congress of Ilana Omo Odua will hold today. He said those planning the Congress were agents working for politicians within the organization. Akintoye alleged that the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Bola Tinubu, is currently recruiting some power-seeking individuals within the self-determination struggle to either discredit him, Akintoye, or destroy the movement completely. I just sometimes when you hear certain news, you just want to ask questions. All of this has been in existence. This they called it the Ilana Omo Odua worldwide. I'm just even hearing this for the first time. Though maybe they've been in the news, but election season, you get to hear all sorts. Just because someone is just trying to clinch the position of the president.
It is a cash out season.
No, but
so politicians.
I'm wondering if since they said they're planning, they were agents working for politicians. Yeah,
all manner of groups. All right, these are all sleeping groups. When it gets to campaign season, they become awake. Because
but Ejiro, the truth about life is this: until we change our mentality, Nigeria will never make progress. And these are some of the issues. You understand? You see election season as a season to cash out instead of a season to think deeply and think of how to elect politicians or leaders that will actually move the country forward.
The question we should ask is, why are politicians? You see, some persons just believe that it is time for politicians to come,
and look for us. And then when they get there, we can't assess them again. So that's why you see. But that's the problem.
That is part of the problem.
We need a mindset change.
If a politician pays heavily to get to that place, what do you expect? Is it Father Christmas? Definitely he wants to recoup his money. So if we continue with this system, we should not expect anything from the politicians.
I think when it comes to this news from The Guardian, it is looking like the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is just trying to see how he can put this out there that, the Yorubas are behind him. There's the Afenifere situation
Afenifere some months back endorsed Peter Obi. And then during the weekend, another kind of
like a faction
of Afenifere endorsed. So I think it's Anita. Nigerians need to be serious. I said it the other day. Election season is not a time to cash out. It's a time you decide the destiny of your children and the destiny of your grandchildren and those yet unborn. So it's not a time to play around.
See, politicians are very smart people. All right. What they do now is they pay you a visit. Fine face. If they know you are very influential, what they do is just to pay you a visit, take some photograph with you. And
that's it. Because I remember when they paid Good Luck a visit, and the next day they came to say, "Look, Good Luck has endorsed this candidate."
And will come out to deny that I didn't say so. But he has people working for him that will colorize this thing and make it seem that way.
Pushing all of this into the public domain, pushing it into the news. For some people, you have said it, some people probably don't they just see things like this. They see some sort of endorsement from some type of group and all of that, and they just immediately believe that, oh yes, this is it. They run with that information. So I think it's a deliberate attempt to, it's campaign. That's what it's campaign season. You're trying to convince the electorate that, look, this is the way you should go. So, but like Adria said, all the sleeping groups, now is election time. You all of us, at least the Afenifere, we've probably heard of, but the Ilana Omo Odua worldwide,
Anita, in the coming weeks, you see more of this.
We're not properly informed when it comes to this particular set of people.
But then for me, Anita, I think Nigerians are actually the problem of Nigeria. Nigerians are the problem we have in Nigeria.
Of course.
Yeah, because election time.
Before, are we not?
The problem must come from Nigerians.
Anita, do you even know that during elections there are certain candidates that will come out to say, "Look, I'm going there to change this thing," and then another candidate will call him and say, "Oga, come, sit down. We'll do this one. You step down," and
then he'll just quietly go back.
So, see, the picture is. Let me paint a picture for you. If today you become a senator, Anita, you will see relations of yours that you don't even know about that will come
to do what?
To meet you with their problems.
Let me ask, do I have a choice at that point? Who am I serving? Am I serving my relations, or am I serving Nigerians
your
as
villagers
well? No, you see, that's a problem.
Yes.
You see, this
it's
is
part of the problem.
Here's the thing: why are you allowing that? Why would you not? Okay, so
they will pressure you to the extent that you will have no option than to just succumb.
Why are you allowing yourself being pressured to that point? Why?
And one thing is this.
Why are you allowing yourself to be pressured?
That they will say, okay, you didn't do anything for your people when you were there.
Why are you allowing yourself? You went there to serve.
Anita, between 20...
No one is saying you shouldn't help people around you, but you went there to serve.
Okay.
How come did you go there to serve your family members?
Those family members, I don't know people you're supposed to serve.
Anita.
Provide the enabling environment. If everybody goes there to serve, then I don't see why my village people will come and knock on my door.
Anita, let me share this with you.
Anita, between some years back, while I was in school, I was privileged to stay in the same apartment with a particular councillor. I can tell you that as early as 5 a.m., there are people trooping into the compound to see him.
Okay.
They are waiting for him. He's inside sleeping, but they'll wait. By the time he comes out, there are problems. Everybody.
I understand this, okay.
Anita, immediately after my youth service in 2013, I worked in a political setting. I was like the chief of staff and the personal assistant to someone who was up there. I relate to what Ejiro is saying. Now, when we travel to his state, we travel with some sums of monies that is not meant for anything but meant for his village people, because if we are staying for 30 days, from the first day to the last day, you have crowds waiting. In fact, by 6 a.m., everywhere is filled up outside. And they'll tell them, "Oh, guys sleeping." They say some people will wait from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. at night. Some will even sleep outside there. So I know what Ejiro is saying.
I understand what both of you are saying. See what I am saying. If you will go to serve, Ejiro, fine face, you go to serve. I go there to serve. Create the enabling environment. Make sure that we do, some of the reasons why these things are happening is because of the corruption in the system. But if we have leaders who are doing the right thing, why will people come and be gathering by 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and waiting for handouts?
Anita, do you even know that?
That's the point I'm making.
Those days, there are certain people that would come and tell me, "Please help me talk to your boss. I'm sick, I'm this, I'm that."
What I'm saying
and then when we take them and say, "Okay, this is our doctor, he'll run a test," and you discover that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
That's what I'm saying.
And these people have jobs.
The system, the Nigerian system already, we've talked about mindset also. There's a mentality also in this part of the country. And this thing stems from up there, it flows down from top to bottom. Nigeria from top to bottom. So at the end of the day, you find that the root cause of all of these things, there's corruption everywhere. But I'm just saying, if you come to serve, if the citizens know that Ejiro, Senator Ejiro, yes,
Senator Ejiro,
Senator Ejiro Noata is there to serve. You know that this man, he's doing what he's supposed to do, and that everyone knows what he stands for. You have seen his track record, so you just know that you cannot go and be camping at his house from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Anita, you don't know Nigeria.
I am not
They'll tag you as being wicked.
Yes, tag me that. Tag me that way.
And they'll wait for you in future and say, "Oh, this man, you want to come back again."
Then we should stop complaining. If this is exactly
Anita,
how
we have a mindset.
Yeah, it's a mindset.
Yeah, it's a mindset.
A man is doing his job, making sure that he does what he was elected appointed to do. And then you are somewhere sitting down believing that he should pack everything and give to you. Yeah. Then tomorrow when things are bad, you still be the same person to be pointing fingers. So I am sorry if I go there, if I become if I have any position, when I be okay, fine. the Nigerian, so I feel sorry for people who are probably my village people, because you have no choice but to call me wicked, because I will go there to serve. I will make sure that I do what I have to do, provide the enabling environments. If the health sector was working, the educational sector was working, if we had working sectors in Nigeria, why are people going to camp outside? If everybody knows that if the system was right, why are you camping? Do you go to the Western world and see people camping like that?
Anita, they'll come and tell you their sisters, brothers, uncles, sisters.
See, that's what I'm saying.
In the hospital.
If the system was right, do you understand? You cannot. Why? Education is on point. We know that you have a job. What are you? The naira to the dollar. We don't have a struggle where we're scared that one day it's going to be a Zimbabwe situation. You can actually look at our currency and be proud of what is going on. That is exactly we not having the jackpot situation. All of this contributes to why somebody will go and stand outside someone's house from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wow, that's a
And do you know that it's not even limited to politicians? There's a strong businessman in Abuja here. If you go to his house every morning, oh my God, you need to see the crowd out there.
I'm sorry for my village people if they, because they're not going to get that from me. Let's look at the Nation newspaper talking about Atiku frowns out Southwest leaders' endorsement of Tinubu. The Atiku Okowa campaign, presidential campaign organization has frowned at the endorsement of the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, by Southwest political leaders. The Southwest leaders on Saturday in Akure gave their blessings to Tinubu's presidential aspiration, with the leader of the Afenifere Pa, Ruben Fashoranti, praying for the success of the APC candidate in the 2023 election. But the Atiku campaign, in a statement on Monday by its spokesman Kola Ologbodiyan, described the endorsement as a failed attempt to procure reputable Southwest leaders to support his tottering and self-seeking presidential ambition. That's the same thing, we just talked about with the Ilano situation. But the Atiku Okowa campaign, saying something about it. That's pretty interesting.
They should not feel intimidated.
I have said, Ejiro.
They should not feel intimidated. They should go about their campaign, because at the end of the day, it is Nigerians that will vote for them, not just people of that group. All right, how many votes can that group really get for them?
We're talking about people who are like leaders of the Yoruba nation. These are people who's. But I just saw it. I saw it as a situation where an elder is just giving like his blessings.
Yes. Yes. So, but you see, the followers of these politicians have a way of coloring it to make you feel like it's an endorsement, and this is where everybody is tinting towards. But then, Nigerians should not feel that way, because we've stressed this point on this platform that people this time will vote for individuals they believed in. All right, it's not enough for my king now to tell me that, hey, this is the way to go and I'll follow him. If I believe in Mr. A, I'll probably vote for Mr. A without even letting you know. So a lot of this kind of issue will play out, but they should go about their normal campaign, and then let's see how it works out.
All right, moving over to the Punch newspaper. Ebola. Avoid non-essential travel to Uganda. NCDC warns. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has advised Nigerians to avoid all but essential travel to Uganda until public health authorities have determined the outbreak to be contained. The NCDC made the announcement to the Public Health Advisory signed by its Director General, Dr. Ifedayo Adesifa, and obtained from its website on Monday. The center said when travel to Uganda is unavoidable, travelers are advised to avoid contact with obviously sick persons or suspected cases of Ebola. This is the last thing I want to hear. COVID, if you look at COVID, as much as people died as a result of coronavirus, Ebola is one. I do not want to hear that name, Ebola virus.
Anita,
I never want to hear it.
Nigeria is now waking up to be the giant of Africa that it is.
Oh, Ejiro, please.
I was thinking travel warnings was only for against Nigeria, but now we are seeing Nigeria.
But at least they are not warning about insecurity.
We know.
No, but we've seen Nigeria telling her citizens that, hey, don't go to this country. It's a wake-up call. I mean, it's a good thing. That
Ejiro, is that like a real thing, or is this like a joke? When it comes.
I keep hearing of US warning her citizens.
Well, that's in the case of insecurity.
No, but then.
So at least we are warning.
We are warning. Even when we had Ebola in Nigeria, some countries want their citizens not to come to our country. Yeah. So it's good that our country now, they are now waking up.
They are able to warn other countries.
Well, here's the thing about the Ebola virus. You know that irrespective of anything, that is one virus. You do not want to hear that there was an Ebola outbreak in some part of the country.
Yes.
Because when we remember what happened in the last the Goodluck Jonathan administration, which I will never forget, that was like commendable, highly commendable, the way it was handled. Yeah. Unfortunately, the doctor Stella Adedevo was not given proper recognition. If you ask me, she wasn't really given that proper recognition for the role that she played. But you do not want to hear about this. So if you say it's commendable that we are advising our people not to go to another country, here's the thing: it's the Ebola virus. You do not have. I mean, you have to advise not to go.
Of course. For someone like me who's looking for a vacation, a country to go, at least this one is out of it.
So you go to Uganda?
You were thinking of going there?
Are there no people there? See, we need to explore. It doesn't mean you must go to the UK and the...
All right.
You can go to other nice places, the Gambia and the rest.
Okay, 8:45 is the time. Let's go on a quick break, and then when we get back, Bright Republic continues on Bright 98.7. Stay tuned. Don't touch it out.
Wait a minute. Talk urban music.
Are you ready for the beaches? Are you ready for the weekends? Are you ready for the summer? Summer's not ready for me.
Hey, get ready.
I got my peaches out in Georgia. Oh yeah. I get my California. That's that. I
Only on Bright 98.7.
I get my light right from the source. Yeah, that's it.
Which story you want here for language where you fit to understand yourself? China entertainment story, fashion, politics, everywhere they happen around us for we country. Anubudo Ibo, ancient priest, radio pigeon prophet don't show. UC Royal, Yame Bochia lady don't and they hear so. Join the Aproko gang on Top Bright 98.7 FM every Mondays, Waka Rich Friday from 1:10 p.m. Waka into 2 o'clock. Make with the Samauna, Bonga happenings and story.
When I finished my NYSC, I thought I was going to be retained. Here I am, 5 years down the line, and I have no job.
Oh God, 7 years in the university, another 7 years after NYSC. No job.
This my small online business. It's trying to pay my bills small, low. But it's not really what I'm passionate about. I always dreamt of working in a corporate setting, but no jobs.
Who knew that a master's degree holder can be jobless for 3 years? Since I lost my last job, I've not been able to nail another employment. I feel so discouraged.
What if we told you you do not have to feel discouraged anymore? You can be the one who gets that next job you've been hoping for. You can be the one who gets that next invitation for a job interview you didn't even apply for. Wondering how? Tune into The Applicant with UC Royal on Bright 98.7 FM, weekdays at 3 p.m. Tell us why you think you are the best candidate for the job, and you just might be the person for the job. The Applicant on Bright 98.7 FM.
If you see
Everyone has a story, no matter how sad, unusual, or funny. Tell us your story on Story for the Gods, weekdays 11 a.m. on Bright 98.7.
Story for the gods,
I am here since 3 days ago. Like corruption can happen at anywhere.
Corrupt with petrol. I prepare it with not a lot of corruption with petrol.
I see them for hotel, I see them for market. And if you see them, you go know. They say you get where them, then they embalm yourself, but me, I never go to that kind of place before.
Let's discuss the headlines and politics.
Going by the Senate Standing Orders of 2011 as amended, which is the genuine and authentic because it has never. I need protection. Will you shut up?
involved. Air your opinions. In this republic, we don't turn off your mic. Join us on Bright Republic, weekdays,
8 a.m.
Welcome back. This is Bright 98.7. Bright Republic is on at this hour. My name is Anita. It is exactly 10 minutes before we hit 9 o'clock. I had said earlier that we will be having the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, the person of Omoyele Sowore, on Bright Republic this morning. And, okay, so we will be having that happen in a bit. Stay tuned. I'm sure Nigerians listening at this hour would want to hear from him, and also probably have questions that you might want to ask regarding the 2023 elections. Okay, so we have the presidential candidate of the AAC in the studio right now. And we're talking about AAC's campaign plan amid the emerging realities. So you are welcome, sir, to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. We have been expecting you, and so we're grateful that you're here now.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we have Omoyele Sowore in the studio today, and we'll be definitely asking questions about the 2023 elections, the AAC's preparations about it, and also your person also contesting for the position next year. All right, so I will be starting off with a question for you about I want to go to the radical side of you, of course. I'll be asking that first. You have always been described as a radical person in the way you act, and probably with some of your utterances, also right from your days as a student union activist.
Yes.
And so is there a real reason behind your radical nature, and also is such radical style the kind of leadership you think Nigeria needs? Because many have come at you and said such behavior is not a presidential one. And so how do you respond to that?
Well, good morning once again, and thanks for bringing me on your show.
You're welcome.
You see, I was born shortly after the Civil War.
All right.
I was born in 1971, so I didn't participate or witness the Civil War. But I did witness a level of oppression in the country that as early as 10 years old, my village was raided by the Nigerian police over issues relating to resistance on a market day. And I was there in the dark, witnessing some atrocious activities of Nigerian police. And since I was 10 years old, I made a promise to myself that if the Nigerian state was going to be a federal republic of injustice, I would resist it when I have the capacity to do so. So my radicalism started from experience.
All right.
And when I was really young, but it did evolve during my time in the university when there was full-blown dictatorship, military rule, under military rule.
Yes, under military rule.
Well, there's still full-blown dictatorship today under civilian rule. So that's where I joined forces with the likes of Femi Falana, Chief Gani Fawemi, and several other activists, students and non-students. And our goal at that time was, there were two in particular. One was to drive the military out of power, and one was to change the economic philosophy of Nigeria, the structural adjustment program, which brought us to where we are today. So that meant that I was targeted also. And my being targeted led to 2 expulsions from the university. So when others had graduated, I was still in the university. I spent 6 years studying a 4-year course at the University of Lagos. So each time they came at me, I just became more hardened to ensure that even if I can't stop oppression in my lifetime, at least my children, relatives, and good people of Nigeria the future would not be as bleak as we have it today. So when people come at me saying that, my radicalism is not presidential, the question we should ask them, it's those who have become president, and their non-radicalism is what puts you where you are today. So I cannot apologize for who I am.
Who you are. Okay.
I cannot say that it is wrong to hate oppression and to resist oppression, and to have been part of the resistance movement in this country. I'm proud of it. And we have seen even more radical people who became president, including Nelson Mandela in South Africa. There are people who witnessed our kind of oppression. They were not even just sitting there and using out of word to fight back. Some of them took up arms against their traducers and oppressors. But we chose very early in life that we will not engage in violence, because at the end of the day, the same people you are fighting for will become victims of a violent confrontation.
So you have just been making sure your voice...
I've mostly used my voice. But I found out that, I've used my voice, I've used my pen, I've used my keyboard. But I found out that any form of resistance is alien to oppression. Even if you're a baby crying, they want to shut you up or shut you down. So, and we find this to be very effective, non-violent resistance, because that is what brought us democracy in 1999.
All right, let's talk about campaigns that started September 28th. Some of your opponents appear to be taking the lead with their ambitions, and we've seen the candidate of the opposition launch his campaign a few weeks back, and also it appears to have taken the support of the international community, talking about one of the candidates in the opposition. And while that of
Did
the
you say
ruling
the international community?
Yes, talking about one of the
international community?
I'm talking about one of the candidates now who so far on social media we're talking about the PDP presidential candidate, and also
the one that traveled to the US
the US
to go and meet with the people he traveled with in a hotel lobby.
Okay.
That's not international.
And that's what the ruling party candidate some days back kicked off his campaign, and also just over the weekend sought the endorsement of the leader of the Yoruba social political group, Flagbearer, that's in the person of Pa Ruben Fashoranti. And action, you referred to that action as a goof?
Goof, big time. Yeah. I was actually disappointed that the southwestern part of Nigeria, the people of the southwest, failed. I mean, not the people, but these leaders failed completely. What we know the Southwest for is some measure of intellectual tolerance or advancement, in the sense that the Arewa group even beat them this time around. They pretended, at least in Arewa and Kaduna, to give everybody a chance to come and present their program.
You said they pretended?
Let's assume that they did, because there were allegations that it was Atiku that was behind the... That's according to Kwakwanso, not me. But at least they did allow people to come to Arewa House in Kaduna and participate in town hall meetings. What they're saying, that's why I said if they want to pretend, is that, look, we must hear from everybody, or at least as many people as possible, and then we decide to choose who we think is good for our region. That's what I expected the Yoruba leaders to have done, the Afenifere Team A or Team B, as I like to call them, or their feeder teams, is let all the candidates come to Ibadan, Makbo Hall. Okay. That is their own traditional space, and present. And then you can then pretend that you are choosing one over the rest. But I guarantee that they knew it would not be possible, because the candidate they want to endorse would not have come to a public outing. Or if he did, he would have performed so badly that the Yoruba people will be screaming at place. How can you choose this man to be?
Well, we had them also endorse the Labour Party
That's what I'm saying. So that's why they just separated.
It created a lot of buzz from Nigerians. The reaction was quite a...
That is why they had to go for... That's why Tinubu had to go for the other team. Because the team B... I don't know which one is team A or B now, but I call them team A and B.
So there are factions?
That's what we are saying.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that they have no right in the first place to impose upon any group of persons who to vote for. And the Southwest people are very difficult in that nature. Since the history of political... elections in the Southwest, they have never followed one single candidate. Even Obafemi Awolowo, who is their hero, who is an icon in Yoruba land, had opposition. Akintola and the rest of them.
Yes.
When he came out, was even in 79, he had opposition. Obasanjo, Akinjide, and the rest of them brought MPN to the Southwest and defeated Awolowo candidates in the following year, even though it was rigged. But Yoruba people have never all packed themselves in one ship. They are too fiercely independent, in my view.
But doesn't this affect the AAC campaign for 2023?
No, it doesn't. That's why I said on my Facebook page yesterday, there's Team A and Team B of Afenifere, and then there's Team P, Team People. That's the one that we go after.
So there's the Team A, Team B, and then Team People. In Afenifere.
Yes.
And so there's Team
we are
People
more interested in we are the ones going after the Team People. Team P. That is the people themselves. That's, I coined that myself just so that they can know how fruitless their efforts were. It doesn't affect us. We are not going into... I'm not going to go into a person's house to surrender my head to be robbed for election purposes, no. I don't even go to churches and allow people to place their hands.
So you do not need the support of your region?
I do. We need the support of the people of the region, not socio-cultural organizations.
Okay. And so would you say that the AAC so far
look,
have
this old man, I don't have any problem with them. People in their 90s should not be determining for people in their 30s who they should vote for. To be honest, respectfully, I've told some of them, so you are in the departure lounge of life. When you were in your 20s, you were doing politics. What are you still struggling for at the age of 94? Trying to impose candidates on a population of over close to 50 million people, who are mostly people between the age of 24 and 35.
Have we not been told our elders are filled with wisdom, So it's another case here.
If there's wisdom and amongst these elders, it did not reflect in what they did in the last few months. Yeah. I think, there's a wisdom of their youth, and there's a wisdom of now. Okay. So, but my advice is, because I don't want to sound as if I'm disrespecting, my advice is that they should take care of themselves. And probably play with their grandkids. Take care of themselves and stop interfering in political affairs of the country.
You're asking them to retire at this point and
the retirement age for a worker is between 60 and 70. If you are 94. What are you struggling for? What do you want again in life? like will make you go and be fighting yourselves.
Well,
because
as long
both
as
of them are in their 90s. The leader of Team A and Team B, they are their 90s struggling.
I thought as long as there's life, there's hope. So
there is, but what we're saying is that we are asking for them to just respectfully bow out and let younger people conduct their affairs.
All right.
Best interest of the...
We've been talking with the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, in the person of Omoyele Sowore. You kicked off your campaign in Kano.
Yes.
Yes, and the Northwest region, a state known actually to be one of the deciding states when election matters.
Yes.
And...
Go ahead.
About that. And it's home to millions of voters, not just that, home to one of the leading contenders in the race who seem to have a movement that spreads across the length and breadth of the state. That's talking about the Concasia movement, for instance. A lot of people, they would want to ask, why Kano State, the home of one of your biggest opponents in the race, and whether or not you have any political base in the state that led you to kicking off your campaign in Kano State?
A number of reasons. If you want to defeat your opponent, you take the fight to their doorsteps.
Okay.
So, although I don't see Kwakwaso to be a serious contender.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you referred to him as a friend earlier.
No,
okay.
No,
all right.
I've never met him before.
Okay. All right.
But we also chose our vice president from Kano. He's a lawyer from Kano.
Okay.
So it's natural that we want to go to a place where the VP is from. But the most important reason we started from Kano is because of one of the most astute, respected socialist politician in Nigeria. Aminu Kano is from Kano.
All right.
Yes. The airport is named after him. A hospital is named.
Yeah.
Most people have probably don't know because they don't teach history in our university or universities now, or even secondary schools. So this person is someone that we respect a lot. He's the one who mobilized the Talakawas in his own days in the north. I think his party was NEP, UNEPU. And they confronted the oligarchy in the north and make sure that they were able to sustain a socialist-based political system that spread wealth, spread the right to education, and all the great things, some of them that happened in the north. So that was the attraction for us, this number of reasons. And we were well received in Kano, and we really enjoyed our time out there. And the fact that, contrary to what people think down here, that Kano belongs to any particular party, including Kwakwas, it's not true. They showed to us where we did that they are very open-minded. They received us. We went everywhere, places that so many of the candidates cannot even go to. You know, we did travel around Kano and met with a lot of people, and they even asked us to come back very soon. So
you were there because of your vice.
I gave you a number of reasons. It's more than that.
Okay.
But I'm just telling you some of the reasons why we chose Kano first. And not Lagos or Port Harcourt.
But why did it take you this long for your campaign to kick off? Seeing the history that you have, your voice, you've said you've used your voice, your pen, your keyboard also, and then campaigns kicked off like about a month ago, and it's just, why did it take you this long?
See, I'm one candidate that never stopped campaigning since 2019. So, yes. And what are the issues affecting Nigeria? You all know all of them. I've organized protests. I've talked about them every day. I was stuck in this city by way of a court order for 3 years. I couldn't leave Abuja. I was sentenced to live in Abuja for 3 years. You know, that's the way I see it. And I did everything to keep the flag flying, to keep the issues alive. Yeah. And it led me to being rearrested again. It led me to being shot by a police officer in this city. I endured torture. My nose was broken at a point. So I never stopped campaigning. So when the others who are perennial politicians are the ones who wait for campaign dates before they start their campaigns. So, and what they said is that you can start in September. Yeah. But that doesn't mean you must start. You must start. And the other candidates, I've only seen a few of them also kick off their campaigns. Maybe some of them have done 2 major outings. But I have been doing a lot of small outings, engaging people. One other campaign strategy that I use, you know, now that I reveal it to them, they'll start using it, is that I'm doing a lot of virtual campaigning, you know. Where we use Zoom, social media outlets to campaign to a lot of people. And when you combine those people watching, listening from the comfort of their homes, home and abroad, they are more than some of the, you know, some of the stadiums that are filled by people who don't.
But are the people watching going to be there on the day of elections?
Absolutely.
You're sure about that?
I'm very positive.
Okay, let's now talk about, you know, some of the issues that, particularly in this nation, the challenges we're facing, and reasons why some of you Nigerians have come out to campaign for the 2023 election. While kicking off your campaign, because I listened, you promised to tackle corruption. An issue that has eaten deep into the fabric of this society, and probably the reason why the country is the way it is.
There's no question about it.
Presently, with things not working and all of that. How do you intend to achieve this? For instance, you know, trillions of naira being spent in subsidy. You know, how do you intend to achieve this? This is something that has been in existence for years.
Yeah, well, you know, there were problems that I was born into that I helped solve.
Okay.
Yes. One of it, military rule. When I was born, there was military rule 1971. And by the time I turned 28, I had helped to solve the problem of military rule. So corruption is one of the problems that I have even started solving as an individual. As you are aware, I set up an anti-corruption website that is very, very famous for outing corrupt individuals, and I've helped send some of them to jail.
Okay.
It helps.
Are they still in jail?
No, of course. I'm not responsible for keeping them
in jail.
My job is to send them there, if I could. But as to how to keep them in jail, their friends always get them out as soon as.
So would that doesn't this defeat it? Eventually?
No, it doesn't defeat it, considering that anybody who is jailed for corruption is known to society.
Okay.
One of the reasons why people are sent to jail for any offense, for that matter, is for the sake of identifying them as bad people.
Yes.
And shaming them. The law shames you by putting you in jail and reducing your status in society to somebody who we refer to as an ex-convict.
But in Nigeria, would you say that has an ex-convict?
Well, you're asking me what I'll do. So, but let's talk about what needs to be done.
Okay.
I think the biggest problem with corruption in Nigeria is the fact that we don't prevent people from stealing. Our processes only wait after they have stolen, and it's always very difficult when people have amassed wealth, illegal wealth, to take it back from them. No matter how legally upright or astute or tenacious a lawyer may be, the moment someone steals $1 billion naira, you are most likely not able to get back even 100 million or even 10 million sometimes. All the people under the regime, this Buhari regime, that were arrested for when he initially arrived, all of them have recovered their loot back from the government. Almost all of them that I know of.
Okay. All right.
Some of them have become ministers today. Some of them have become governors under the same political party that came and said they want to fight corruption. So my first goal will be to entirely apply technology to the way we conduct our financial affairs, both publicly and in the private sector as well. And what this means is that I will get rid of paperwork almost completely. Everywhere I go to and people start writing something down on paper, it's just suspicious. We also have to get rid of the paper naira as part of our transaction. That doesn't mean that it will not become a legal tender. It's just that if you're a contractor, I'm not paying you with, paper naira.
Okay.
And we now have e-naira, which they introduced, but they don't know how to run.
Okay, I was wondering if that was even operation.
Yes, but if you use the advantage of e-naira, in the sense of technology, is that every dime that you spend can also be tracked.
Yes.
So, because they are not going to be able to take it out beyond a certain amount. So, and that's the way governments all over the world operate. America, that everybody is shouting about every day, have corrupt people. In fact, I have been quoted as saying that America is the most corrupt country in the world. One street in America, known as Wall Street, is more corrupt than all the West African
countries
put together. So, but the difference between theirs is that there exist institutions and processes in place that can catch people even after they have committed offenses for over 40 years.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a Wall Street person who stole over 50 billion. And, he was a successful person. Everybody thought he was doing well. But one investigation led to reveal all his shenanigans.
So that's what you intend implementing on this?
But to go back to the starting point is to ensure that we straighten up our systems with technology in such a way that every transaction the federal government is involved in, state government, local government, are not so vulnerable that people can just take cash and run away with them or hide them. The moment you put us in place, you have solved 50% of Nigeria's corruption problem. Yes.
Okay.
The second part is enforcement.
Okay.
There are laws in this country covering almost everything that needs to be done right, but they are not properly enforced. And why is it that our laws are not enforced? It has to do with the place of connection, who you know or who you don't know. Like they say in this country today, if you have a big corruption case, you just get two sets of lawyers. The ones that know the law and the one that knows the judge. So we have to get rid of such practices so that our judiciary can have that level of interest and confidence from the citizenry, that they know that judges are not compromised and corrupt to the point that they will see something that is white and call it black. And I can say this categorically because I go into our courtrooms a lot to face my own cases, and in the course of sitting down, I just have to shake my head. This is not the whole of justice. You can't get justice. You can just walk into a courtroom in Nigeria, especially this Abuja, and get a court order without, paying for it. You pay for it, and you can get it. You see them in court. You see, like, the courts are like open markets, from everybody is involved in this corrupt activity. So the judiciary has to be strengthened in that point. The way to strengthen the judiciary is not to interfere in the judiciary, but law enforcement agents, including anti-corruption watchdogs, can catch judges who are involved in corruption. It's very easy.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't have to disclose.
You don't have to disclose that, yes.
So the last stage of fighting corruption, so we've talked about enforcement now, is to ensure that every citizen in the country is exposed to how we do business. The bulk of corruption in Nigeria is promoted by our own opaque way of doing business. When I say opaque, for instance, nobody knows how many federal contracts there are in Nigeria, which areas they are awarded, how much they are, who is the contractor. We don't even I think the CAC is trying now to make sure that all companies in the country, you can download the principal officers of companies. But they're not doing enough. I will make it open. That's the essence of open government. Every transaction, every contract in Nigeria will be on a website that the federal government is involved with. Any allocation that federal government is involved in should be on a website. So if you are constructing road between Abuja and Lokoja, what is the date of commencement? What is the expected date of completion will be on that website. What is the construction company handling the sewage? And what's it called? The gutter, we like to call them here. Who is doing the main work? Who are the smaller, big contractors? They should be on the website. And then you can go to the website of the CAC and download who are the directors of this company. When did they start it? So if a company that was started in September, just last month, 2 months ago, is getting a contract of 2 billion, it raises suspicion that somebody is trying to play games on us. But if it's 20 years old and you have credibility and information and testimonials that you've been working, then we can understand. If we find on the website of CAC that the director of a company is 9 years old, you already know who they are. So that way, you eliminate a lot of the shady ways we contract. I'm just using contract as one of the examples.
Yeah, we understand that.
And who are involved in implementing this contract. And you will find out in that regard that you will just easily find the corrupt people who are awarding contracts to themselves. You will find the House of Rep members, senators, and those who should not be involved in contracting out works to themselves on those kind of platforms.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying you're using technology to tackle corruption.
Digitalize, yes.
But doesn't that, take people out of jobs? Because talking about technology,
no.
We're talking about people being literate when it comes to
It doesn't.
21st century.
What takes people out of job is the corruption that we're talking about.
Okay.
Because what should be meant for ordinarily 1,000 to 2,000 people are taken by one person. You deny, yes. If you get a contract for 100 million naira and it's never implemented, that means people don't get employed or hired to even work in the first place.
Yes.
But assuming without considering that every contract in the country is implemented, you can imagine how many people will be busy today. Go to the federal government on finance, the Federal Ministry of Finance, and see how they are paying people for contracts that are not implemented. It's not only federal, state, local government. Just close your eyes for a second. Imagine that if all the contracts that have been given out this year, documented in our budget, that have been awarded, have been implemented, over 4 million people will be employed as I'm talking to you, just for, temporary jobs. And they will be paid. But when our very powerful politicians corner these contracts, share the loot between them and the officials who approve of the money, and they do take their shares, who then make sure that the jobs are never done, you are shortchanging the job market, the employment market.
The question I'm asking
already
is, do we have enough people who are literate when it comes to 21st century technology? Presently, if you go around, I'm going to use the FCT, go around the ministries, I have been opportune to actually pursue some sort of issues.
I hope you are not a contractor.
No, I'm not a contractor. When I say issues, I'm talking about issues of pension, grandparents' pension, and that's the kind of situation. And you come across people who do not even understand basics. And so if you intend tackling corruption with technology, you have people who are not even literate.
No,
doesn't that take them out of the system?
No, absolutely. Some of the technology we need to stop this nonsense we're talking about are not more than using your phone. You can hardly find the person in this FCT who doesn't have a phone, who doesn't know how to operate a bank account.
Okay.
Yes. There are over 100 million smartphones in Nigeria. There are 200 million people in the country. I'm sure we are almost at 140 million. There are people who carry 4 phones. And you think they are illiterate? They are not illiterate. There are people who you think are illiterate who can order food on their phones and it will be delivered to them. That's the value of technology, because technology creates new value chains every time it emerges. Imagine all the people who are delivering food. 10 years ago, the only place you can get a taxi is to walk around and go to a taxi park.
Yeah.
It might be 1 kilometer away from where you are, you must walk there. But look at what Uber, Bolt, and all these all these taxi apps are doing to you now. It has brought into the job market people who ordinarily would not have been employed. And it has provided additional revenue and income for those who are employed who want to take up other jobs. There are a lot of people who are doing Uber who also have mainstream jobs. They just want to make extra money.
All right.
Before, you could never find a female driving taxi. Maybe you find one out of 1,000.
Yeah.
These days, you call Bolt, the person driving you is a female. So value chains everywhere, and that's the value of technology. But the downside of it that I am explaining to you is that, look, see what is happening to our system. This very gory corruption, where people will be awarded a 2 billion naira worth of contract. Never done. Payment fully made. I'm saying, just think of it. If all these contracts are being implemented, how many hands will be employed? There will be an accountant on board, a lawyer will be asked to draft something. The illiterate people we are talking about will have daily jobs to do, and most likely, if they work and work so hard, they will have no time for terrorism, banditry, and several other ills that are afflicting our society today. So when you apply technology, you create even new areas of opportunities for people. And like you said, just to respond to that, I'm not asking you to be Elon Musk to operate an accounting software. It's a laptop or even your cell phone. Download the app there and say, hey, even at home, your office can reach you. Please, can you help us approve this? But there will be paper trail, because the process of technological footprints are always there and can be checked up, one can be downloaded, can be looked into from way back. I want to give you a quick example. One pastor, I won't mention his name, an apostle, bought a vehicle for his girlfriend in Lagos. I was still writing actively for Sahara Reporters. He denied it. He said, I went to Lagos website. We found out that he's the one who bought the Mercedes-Benz. The next day, he went to Lagos State office that registers vehicle. They clean up the information from their website on a Sunday. But they forgot that there's something called Wayback Machine on the internet. We went back there. The Wayback Machine has saved and cached a page of the transaction.
So the trail
we pulled
was
it back.
still there.
But when they were deleting it, they didn't know that Wayback Machine keeps a cache. That's why technology is a very, very powerful way of checking corruption and ensuring that public activities or private activities that affects everybody is done properly.
Okay. Another issue of concern, security. We've seen the situation with the security threat, the security alert by the US and the UK, evacuation of the citizens, the Minister of Information coming out to say it's fake news, trying to deny it. Would you say, when it comes to the approach by the government, the response from the government, what would you say about that? And also, do you have plans on how to tackle insecurity in Nigeria?
Absolutely. I have plans on how to tackle every problem in Nigeria, except the mundane ones. But that will be for another discussion in the future. But let's talk about the terror alert. It is a shame, crying shame, that you need an embassy in Nigeria to tell the Nigerian people that they are in danger. You can't try that in the US. Can you imagine the ambassador of Nigeria in the US telling the US that, please, so you need to check Washington, D.C., there are some terrorists there. They will fly you home that night. You are going to be on the next flight. You won't be allowed to carry your things except whatever you have for you.
Yeah.
Because it's the kind of intervention that they will find disgraceful to their country, and that you have also overstepped your bounds as a diplomatic person on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason these other guys get away with it is that they've seen that there's no governance in place, proper governance. They understand the weakness of our leaders. And they might also have seen that they are not serious about the insecurity in the land, and they might be helping us by exposing this. What I found out in my own little research was that they have a housing estate and a school across from the stadium where they found a bomb, and the ISWA people wrote there that, don't think you can hide, we know where you are. And it's supposed to be a bomb that would have killed a lot of people. And they brought their attention of the government to it. The government didn't do anything about it. And the truth is that...
You just said they have an estate.
Yeah, the diplomatic staff of the US.
Okay.
They have a housing estate across from the stadium.
All right.
It's not hidden. They also have an American school there. And they found it. And it's a place that they don't expect such a device to be found. And they did their own research because they have their own agents all over the world, including this. And I found out that the Boko Haram people had flooded into Abuja. They even have camps. You know what happened to the law school. You saw how they broke into this prison in Kuje prison. So they found many of their camps and sleeper cells all over the city. And they also listened in on their communications. And found out that Abuja is surrounded. Brought it to the attention of the federal government. Federal government didn't do anything about it. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's why they kept shouting. And the government didn't want to do anything about it until they then discovered that they were sending out their diplomatic staff. And many embassies who had been exposed to this intelligence knew that they were really in danger. Because what has happened to Nigeria over the years is that since particularly the abduction of the Chibok girls, when America, UK, and other countries wanted to help rescue the Chibok girls, and they exposed their plans to the Nigerian security officials, and they told Boko Haram they have not been sharing intelligence with top security officials because they found a lot of them to be compromised. There was a time an army general was found to be in communication with Boko Haram leaders. That's why they can never end the Boko Haram war, because they are benefiting directly from...
So how do you intend, tackling this?
For me, it's also 3 stages.
Okay.
Yes. The immediate one I would do is I fire all these generals that ever fought Boko Haram. If you have fought Boko Haram before I see you in the army, you are gone. You have no business. That's what Israel does with their generals. You go to lead the battle, you can't win. They push you out of the way. Yeah. But that's not going to solve the problem. The problem would be to bring confidence back into the international partners we have, get more weapons, get our troops motivated, collect intelligence, analyze, and work on them and do a lot of leadership changes within our security agencies. I was kept with the DSS for 4-5 months in 2019. You know, all these DSS were shouting. They're only watching BB Niger. They're not doing anything. It's like, what are you people doing here apart from going after activists? Nothing. Everybody's just there doing their own little deals. You know, I can't tell you how disgusted I was to find out that the nation's major intelligence building or office is engaging in mundane things. And there were cases of that. They have facilities, by the way, to do some intelligence gathering, but they don't use it because they're not interested. They are more interested in postings to election activities where they get money, or to become chief security officers of governors, NNPC officials. You will be disgusted to find what tickles their fancy, as opposed to fighting for the country. I also discovered while I was there that they don't have collaboration with other security agencies. They can't stand the police cannot stand them, so they hoard intelligence from each other. So there's no central office that is gathering, that is working to make sure that all the security agencies are working together. None. I'm telling you this, and I've said this is not my first time of saying it. They can't dispute it because they know that is the truth. I was right. I was detained on top of the office of Director of DSA, Director General. I was his personal prisoner. So I had access to more intelligence than most of them did. You know, and I found them detained. They detained some Boko Haram guys. Boko Haram guys have cable, DSTV in their cell. They had like love seats. They were having fun. I wish I was detained with them because they were having great fun in there. And I asked, are these not Boko Haram leaders?
So how do you intend, what are your plans?
So I just told you this story. So
yes.
That's why how we address those is the number one I told you.
Yeah.
But ultimately, and Nigerians must know this, it is resolving a number of security issues that will solve violence, and insecurity in the land. Yeah. And one of it is social security. As long as people don't have food to eat, no jobs, you can't have security. You're wasting your time. The second of it is for us to really have the appropriate persons in charge of appropriate security agencies, and for security agencies to do what they are created to do. For instance, I have said it many times, why would the police abandon its job for soldiers? Soldiers are so embedded in our security daily lives internally that some of them are controlling traffic. Soldiers have no business controlling traffic in the cities. They should be outside the perimeters of the cities in their barracks and doing protection for the country, not traffic, not helping people to carry food at parties, not doing VIP protection work. All those things have to be eliminated. But like I said, you must address socioeconomic inequalities if you want security in your country. This is one major thing, one major policy aspect that's always protected nations across the world. And so that takes us back to fixing electricity, ensuring that our education system is all right, healthcare is there, and solving some of the foundational problems of Nigeria. Nigeria's problems are twofold, the big problems. There are institutional problems and there are foundational problems. Foundational problems include our constitution. It includes how this country itself was created. Nigeria was created as a business, in 1900. And then a few years later, it was the North was merged with the South in what they call amalgamation.
Yes.
So they did not address so many of our foundational problems. Are we the same? If we are not the same and diverse, how do we govern diverse people? Now, of course, you can blame the British for that, but the British left us since 1960. What have we done to address so many of these problems? This is part of the reason why everybody should come together
and you think
and
that
change.
Can be done?
If we don't do it, then you can start kissing Nigeria goodbye if you continue to pretend that everything is okay.
Okay, this is Bright Republic and Bright 98.7, and our guest has been Omoyele Sowore, who is the presidential candidate of the AAC, the African Action Congress. I have a question from a listener asking, good morning to you, Virtue from Asa Drive. You say, I join other patriotic and well-meaning Nigerians to welcome our next president, Omoyele Sowore, to Bright FM. You say, I salute you, Your Excellency, sir. This is from Vetcher from ASO Drivers saying, one thing you have said in the course of putting out your policies and manifesto that Vetcher is saying he loves so much is when you said you would probe and make the current administration pay for corruption carried out during his administration, and also make them account for every kobo stolen during their time in office, and asking if you're sure you can do that, or is it just a political statement?
It's not a political statement. And the easiest way to explain this to Nigerians is that in 1999, President Olusegun Obasanjo found a lot of money stolen by Abacha, and they went after his wealth. You can argue that the only reason why they're after him is because he's dead.
I wanted to say
so
that.
If the dead can still be sending us money as of 2022, since 1990, the ones alive should be able to send us every kobo they stole.
But you just said, you said here that, it's really hard getting back some of this money stolen.
It is hard, but we can get it. We can get a lot of money back. What I would say is going forward, I won't allow it to be for us to make it easy for people to steal some. I mean, how do you allow one person, Abacha for instance, to have stolen $5 billion? Do you know what $5 billion could have bought for you? You can change $5 billion today. It's 810 naira or 820. To 5 billion, you multiply it. I'm sure if you get the figures, you'll be dizzy.
You'll be dizzy.
Yes, if we put it on a highway, it will build a road from Maiduguri to Lagos.
That's a lot.
And there will be 6 lanes on both sides. That's a lot of money. $5 billion is a lot of money. If you ask how many gallons of water can it purify, it would occupy the whole of Egypt, in a reservoir. If you bought jets with $5 billion, all these huge jets, the A380, which is the biggest, the double-decker, each of them is 400 million naira. So you buy, let's assume that we just create an airline with it. We will have some of the best jets in the world, and we have one of, we can turn Nigeria into an international hub for the entire African continent, where if you don't go to Nigeria, you can't fly elsewhere. $5 billion can start that for you.
So it's doable. You can, do what the former president did. That's what you're saying?
I'm just saying $5 billion from one person.
Yeah.
So if we then pursue the others, the ones that are alive in particular, they are sitting on gold mines. So before you know it, we would have recovered over $60 billion. And what is our budget? So, and I'm sure we can even, we probably will recover if we go after all the major people who have stolen from Nigeria, who are still alive. You can recover nothing less than $1 trillion easily.
Easily. Okay.
There are people who, as we speak in this Abuja, have stashed money in their apartments, houses. There are over 6,000. The DSS told me there are over 6,000 houses that are unoccupied on Aso Drive alone. I mean, the Aso Koro area.
So it is not a political statement.
It's not. No, it's not. I've been fighting corruption on my own, just on my own. I fought corruption that have recovered billions for Nigerians.
For Nigerians.
So you can imagine when I'm president.
All right,
there will be a lot of recoveries.
To wrap it up with a final question, we know that looks like the ruling party, the PDP, and also the Labour Party seems like they're the front runners for the 2023.
That's what you guys in the media are doing.
It seems like they're the front runners. Do you think that your party stands a chance?
We stand a chance. We stand a better chance if they are interested in elections. And this is where it's important to appeal to the media. I'm also in the media.
Yeah.
The complete manipulation of public perception about candidates is part of the problem we're having in the country. How would you say that PDP is a front runner when their candidates that have ruined this country in the past, or APC? The candidate the APC presented cannot even go for debates. The man has not appeared before any one of you since he became a candidate. But you keep pushing him as a front. How is he a front runner? Is it by policy? Is it by intellect? Is it by physical fitness? How is he a front runner? Tell me. How is the PDP candidate a front runner? How is the Labour Party guy a front runner? No, you have this conspiracy against the public, the media. And I'm guilty too, because I run a media company. I own a media company, I don't run it.
Okay.
Yeah. To say people who should not be, the real front runners are people who are speaking to these issues. The ones that you can call at any time and will show up on your show. I'm sure between now and the end of the election, you are not going to get any other major presidential candidate into your studio. But you deserve to.
Yes.
You should be asking them questions. All of them, you should be wheeling them in and out of studios to explain what they want to do for 200 million people. But those are the people that don't come to you that you call front runners. People who don't speak to anything. You just sit down in the comfort of your offices and call.
Presence.
Where?
We see their presence.
Where?
So
Where is their presence? Are you talking about the fake rallies that they buy people to attend?
But when you refer to the, talking about how Nigerians...
Do you know how Obama won U.S. election? He spoke at a rally. I mean, not a rally, a Congress of the Democratic Party at a very crucial period of the country. He didn't have no rallies. He didn't, and it was his intelligence that showed through his speech. The speech wasn't up to 20 minutes that made him president. Here, you are saying that you see their presence. Where? People who cannot even walk, they can't walk upstairs.
But
you say you
we
see
have
their
to
presence.
go back in history. You know that when it comes to humans, there are some people in history that I would refer to as infamous who have also had supporters. As much as you would.
It's fine, but we have a duty as a people not to keep imposing those infamous people on our political systems. And I'm speaking directly to young people now, and those who might still believe a bit in this country, because half of Nigeria have left. No, I won't say half. That's an exaggeration.
Yes.
But half of the country wants to leave. So a lot of people have lost. But those of us who are still here, we must question why we keep accepting very tragic history. Because that famous quote that when history repeats itself, it becomes even more tragedy for us. So must we repeat the history of failure, of absence, of lack of intelligence or lack of clarity? No, we must reject it. So if a candidate is not fit for office or hasn't shown that he's fit for office, you cannot say that you have their presence. Just like a child that comes to class every time but cannot pass exams. On exam date he doesn't show up. Can you promote such a person?
Of course not.
Exactly. So that's what the other candidates are showing to you. They're telling you that they don't care about you. They don't even respect you guys in the media. When you invite them, they don't answer you. They don't talk to you. They don't discuss policy. You cannot interrogate what they are about. And you will keep saying that the front runners. I think it's high time we change that.
All right. It is a wrap today on Bright Republic. Thank you so much, sir, for honoring this invitation. We appreciate that you made out time to do this with us. Omoyele Sowore, presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, yes. In the studio of Bright FM today on Bright Republic. We hope that, when we extend an invitation again, we'll probably you honor it again for us.
If you agree not to call any candidate front runner.
All right.
Until the elections are over.
All right. The OVO Sports takes center stage next. Stay tuned to Bright 98.7.